Welcome. Hey, everybody. We're back. Episode 180 here. Hank Thompson, the host. You, the viewer. Perfect. Looking great. Love it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep neglecting what you're neglecting. Okay? You're really nailing it. How's it going? How's the long COVID? How's that cooking? Is it coming along? Do you like breathing? Well, cherish what's left. It won't. Man, could there be any more? And that is not a conspiracy. Although when you use the word conspiracy, you provoke that concept in people's brains. But could there be a more well-designed event based around pandemic, but like based around a virus, a well-designed virus that comes along, knocks out a whole bunch of expensive people. And when I say expensive, I mean that capitalists don't want to spend money on caring for people who have a difficult time caring for themselves. So they're disposable, because that's increases the profit margins for corporations that fulfill human needs. So it knocks out a ton of them, raises a whole bunch of issues within our culture, our society. I don't know why I'm trying to. What the fuck? Why am I talking about this? I wasn't playing. But then sets forward a permanent pandemic. We're 1/30th through this thing, by the way. We're 3 or 4 years in. We're like a 15th through the pandemic. This is going to go on forever. Maybe there'll be some sort of vaccine that comes along, some sort of cure or some sort of technological intervention. But the way that our culture and our society has handled it has absolutely wrecked us for other upcoming pandemics, and even including coming back with the old hits. I saw a map. This was not what I was going to talk about, but about the exemption rate in different states. It's very high in Idaho. So conservative Western states and in southern states. But Idaho was was a solid blue. That's the percentage of parents who are opting out of childhood vaccines for their children to go to public schools and to go to school. Which means we're probably going to see a return of like really old, horrible diseases, polio and stuff like that. I would love to be wrong about that. And I did predict that like a year or two ago, and I've been sitting around going, come on, polio, make a comeback. Come on, baby, you can do it. Come on, polio. I've been betting on it, that when you get excited at the track. And but then long COVID is the thing. And now when people are about to like wake up and realize how horrible, when the consciousness is just about to kind of peek its head up over the little ledge that it needs to and look around and actually take in the enormity of the scam that is this modern culture, this modern economy. And just when that's about to happen, this virus comes along that is going to simmer through society. You can do what you can to avoid it. I try. I'm kind of a hermit. I don't do much anyway, so I'm in a fairly safe place there. But if I ever, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if I start dating, this is not, I was going to say it's my worst fear. Certainly not. But like, I'm not going to be able to date somebody who's like, we're going to go indoors. I'm like, fuck that. I'll go indoors with you, fellow hermit. Hell no. Let's go try some new flavors of Oboises. Remember Oboises? And then long COVID is just going to simmer through the population and slowly degrade our cognitive functions, as if we had much room to spare there as a culture overall. And so it's going to lead to, especially so tragic for me in my sense, for children who are getting COVID over and over because of exposures at schools. They might not show those symptoms right away, but they're, I guess heart incidences are escalating. I should confirm that with some data first, but I just vaguely recalling seeing that about young people turning up in hospitals and emergency rooms with heart issues and respiratory issues at rates far higher than they used to be, noticeably escalated. I should look into that. I'm not gonna. I will if I remember to. I'm not promising I will. But so it's just this mass disabling event that is going to reduce your ability to breathe, to function comfortably in your body, and to think, and to all that other stuff, all the stuff that we really need people to be able to do for the upcoming trials. You're not going to be able to win the dystopian Ninja Warrior course where you race against your parents and whichever one loses dies, that they're going to put into place, that President Nikki Haley is going to impose upon us at behest of Emperor Trump. Long may his head reign. They're going to freeze his brain and put it in a really tiny bottle. Okay, got him. We got him. We got Trump. Yes, geez, fuck, not the show I planned. Another like 10 or 12 day gap between shows. I fucking had a little editing thing. I need help. My brain, I was spinning out real bad. I had enough energy to work on that project and kind of nothing else. And it's really fucking not okay. I was going through all these weird over processing and overthinking type of things. But I did manage to get I'm feeling more inspired now. Every single time I do a podcast, it basically starts with me rambling about something I didn't want to, then talking about how I've been stumbling over my encumbering brain, and then just moving on to the show, and then offering an hour of the most entertaining commentary that has ever existed on the internet. So what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, coming back. I did manage to get the videos, 3 clips from the last episode posted. One of them, I think, broke through the algorithm because suddenly there's like 2,000 or 3,000 views. I was getting these emails from comments, and some guy said something about Venezuela. Which that's how you know you're starting to reach out across the, your island is poking out of the water a little bit as a new thing that's on the internet, is that you start attracting people who get upset at you and then use the word Venezuela. But a bunch of new subscribers. That was cool. I think I'd been racing. It's episode 180 right now, but my subscriber number has been like 177, 178, 170. So I'm like looking at my subscriber count and my episode number being like, man, I got like over one video per subscriber. It's fucking embarrassing. But now I think it's like 190 something, 194, 5 or 6, or maybe even 7. That's really great. Thank you for all new people. You've probably already regretted your decision to subscribe, and that's also something. By the way, the beard loss is contagious. You catch it from if you unsubscribe, your beard will fall out. Or if you don't have a beard, your other beard. Oh, that might be a positive. Damn. Foiled again. Yeah, so we're back to it. My thoughts are resplendent. What else would be resplendent? Isn't that, wouldn't you say like a table full of luxurious grapes and pig heads? Like a food spread for, super rich people, or like a Witcher series. I fucking hate The Witcher. I want The Witcher to be such a good show. I love The Witcher. That show is so bad. Sorry, I just triggered myself. That show is so incomprehensible. It's impenetrable is the right word. You cannot, nothing motivate. It's not motivated. No one moment to the next seems to make any sense compared to the previous. Not that it always does, particularly. I don't know. Okay. So welcome new listeners, new subscribers. We got a Jordan Peterson clip to go through. I did a bunch of editing. I was actually going to record this today, Friday, September 8th in the morning, but I decided to do this mashup between Theo Von and Jordan Peterson. No, actually, well, Theo Von's in it. Jordan Peterson was on Theo Von's show. I'm not all that familiar with Theo Von, I gotta be honest. He does give off psychotic comedian vibes, which I really like. I relate to that. I'm like, yeah, that guy seems like a comedian guy from what I've seen. So anyway, Jordan Peterson and Theo Von, and then he told a story that was seems to have been sourced from a film, a James Bond movie called Skyfall. So I have both of those to compare, and then I edited a whole thing that we're going to enjoy watching together. So keep looking for that, or look in the description if you want to just jump ahead, because it's pretty good. Mitch McConnell froze, and we're going to talk about that. As you guys know, here, Winners and Losers is Mitch McConnell headquarters, so we're going to get into that a little bit. I have a random Rob Schneider clip. I don't have no idea what he said. It's on Twitter, and I bookmarked it. So that's what's going to happen. So, all right. Yeah, that's fine. You know what? There's always more crap I could say. My roommate figured out that the cat likes TV. So I might not get rid of her now that I know she's a fat, lazy slob like me. In a skinny, lazy slob like my roommate. No, he's not. He's not. He's neither a slob nor is he lazy. He's much thinner than I am, though. So, and the cat would be like right in the juicy middle. she's watching TV now. It's he got one of those cat channels with the cat with birds and squirrels and stuff, and now the cat's all into it. She was touching the screen with her cute little paw on the giant squirrel. And then you could tell she was frustrated because she was not eating meat as her body had commanded her to at that point. Or I should say maybe not wrestling a squirrel until it stops kicking. So, cats, I bet squirrels are pretty strong. They look like for pound, they're probably pretty strong for their size, but they're still, a hungry cat with a apex predator body. Gonna fuck up a squirrel. Sorry. But squirrels do that, yeah, those big hind legs. What the hell am I doing here? Oh, we got new lighting. Sorry, hang on. I just forgot to turn it on. Gonna turn this on. Oh, shit. Sorry. There we go. I wanted to do green. How's that look? Green lighting. This shit. Put it lower. Great. Looks fucking perfect. All right. So yeah, what's the big stories of the week? Trump got indicted again, probably. There's always news about that. That's going to be kind of dominating the headlines. The liberals are horny. I tuned into MSNBC, and it was just Lawrence O'Donnell just doing this. Yeah, just doing that. He even has a nipple up here. Oh boy. One of his producer's hands came up from out of the screen and started rubbing it. All three at the same time. Those people are having a blast. Jen Psaki of the political wing of the White House, actually the public relations, is now going to be hosting a show, I guess, on MSN. She's been doing MSNBC stuff. It's kind of gross, that overlap, that is that the right word? That kind of embeddedness of politics and media. To me, it just speaks to the notion of how both of those industries are built around communication. That's the kind way of saying it, but it is fucked up that our media and our politicians are so intertwined in that sense. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. The liberals are excited about the Supreme Court. Fires are destroying places all over the place. Elon Musk, this is stuff I'm just remembering shit I've read. There's reporting showing that he used his power as a globe-spanning tech freak idiot to turn off the Starlink internet or something, or deny some sort of service access to the Ukrainian mission that would have attacked Russia for something. What a nightmare. The whole thing is a nightmare. Do we really need to add this psychotic weirdo Elon Musk to that mix? To this, it's bad enough that governments are involved in the way because those decisions would then, roll over to governments. If you have that Starlink crap that's up there. I don't know a ton about the Starlink mission. I follow some astronomy people on Twitter, and this one guy tweets a lot about just the launches. He's not like a political at all. He just kind of tweets about what's happening. And so you see stuff like, Starlink satellites released and stuff like that. So I know there's a lot of reporting in the world about that, but horrifying. It sounds like interesting technology. And the idea that we all should have more access to information, I think, is a good thing. But it's the use of the technology. It's the humans who are in charge of the technology that we get our heebie-jeebies from, let alone the potential of the power. But it's the fact that we see the motivations of Elon Musk being this anti-Semitic, I don't know if I'd call him a Nazi straight out, but he sure seems to be very comfortable and very determined to put people with incredibly violent and terrible right-wing views forward as much as he can, including Nazis, including this one guy that had been putting up images from exploitative child imagery. And man, it's not good. It's not good stuff. So I don't know much about that. Look into it. Maybe. Who knows? Yep. Fires, floods, hurricanes. I never did update you on how I survived the hurricane of Los Angeles the other week. Went out for ice cream for me and my roommate. Went to McDonald's for some Oreo McFlurries at 6 p.m. So there was very little traffic. It was lovely. Tough. It was a rough one. It was fine. I'm glad everybody prepared. There was some flooding that fucked up some shit around the area because it was just a gigantic big storm that dumped a bunch of rain. But we've had heavier rains in the other. Why am I going on about that? So, oh, I wish I'd trimmed my mustache. I can feel it. Ugh, come on. All right, there you go. So where are we at here? Yeah, news. I don't know. It was a big sloppy mess already. So let's just keep. Let's jump over to Mitch McConnell. So this is he froze. What you're seeing on screen is actually the first time he froze. I don't want anybody to be misled here. This is late July of 2020, and as I said earlier, the Winners and Losers is the central clearinghouse for all Mitch McConnell related news, paraphernalia, and merchandise. So check the description for links to stuff. But here's him freezing in early or late July, and then we're going to get into him freezing again here in early September. But don't worry, he's immortal. It's all going to be fine. He's fine. He's fine. This is fine.
The NDA this week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
there he goes. Mitch? Mitch? You good, buddy? Look at the guy's eyes. I love his eyes. Uh-oh. So, here comes John Thune.
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch?
Hey, Mitch.
Anything else you want to say, Mitch?
Anything else you want to say?
Any more turds to roll down your gross wrinkly butt, Mitch? Come on, Mitch. So that's him freezing. And as I think it was one of my better thumbnails, I covered the story, of course. I was first on the scene. I drew little chalk outlines around his diarrhea, which is actually fairly much easier to encircle than you might imagine. There was speculation that it was some kind of pooping incident, that something had gone wrong with his constitution. What do they call that? Incontinent? With his continental divide, some plug had failed to plug. I almost pronounced it plooge. Yet that somehow that would have worked. Some plug had failed to plooge. See, doesn't that sound like it's totally fine? So his butt didn't plooge correctly, and it was probably some sort of dookie coming down, right? Which makes anybody go, ugh. And my initial case was that the lack of micro facial expressions is why it probably wasn't poop. But then I was editing and I was publishing the clip and stuff, and I included a little text on screen saying that, you know what, I think maybe it was. I don't know. I don't like saying declaratively. I wasn't there, until after, when I showed up with my box of sidewalk chalk that kids use. I'm here. And it was, a big mystery, because we don't want our government in the hands of people who aren't able to complete the sentence because they have poop running down the back of their legs. And we've all shat our pants. Who hasn't? Who hasn't suddenly realized they let a fart out that was more than a fart? Wind with benefits, we call it in the plooge community. Who hasn't done that? Where you go, oh God, I better. Now that's different than a whole release, obviously. I was in high school, actually. Quick story. I'm glad you asked, Martha. Quick story. This is me on 60 Minutes. I'm going to cross my legs. I can't. There's a keyboard tray in the way. Well, these two boys started fighting. They were bigger than me, but they looked like, as a teen, they were calling them boys is weird because I was a teen at the time. Sorry, I get distracted with from my 40-something-year-old brain. They were boys now, but they were, when you're a teen, these were like older kids. Anyway, these two boys started fighting. Pretty ugly fight. It was like they were like tough kids, and they were really whack. And a big, thick crowd formed. I happened to be caught right in the front, which felt a little bit scary. And I'm old enough. This was mid-90s, so no one was filming it. It'd be funny though if everybody had like TV cameras, all just filming constantly, like big video VCR recorders. What a nightmare! Everything gets filmed nowadays. Nothing happens without it being filmed. Oh, and anyway, a pretty sizable go. These guys were fighting up real hard, and Real sloppy though. Most fights are kind of, and this wasn't like a trained grappling combat match. One of the crowd was very aroused in a non-sexual way, but just everyone was getting into it, and then something escalated things, and the crowd was so thick that the dean, like, kind of lady that was going to run over and like, get stop fucking fighting, you know, the adult in the room, she couldn't get through. She was like really trying. She had to really like push people all the way to get through. She was, you know, it was so thick with onlookers such as myself, bystanders, we like to call ourselves. And as the dean steps in, though, this all is happening all at the same time. Though she does make it to the circle, and she slips. She takes one of those, and that's what sold it for most of everybody to look down. There was shit all over the floor. One of the guys had vacated, which is embarrassing to have beaten the poop out of somebody. But how do we know it was the dude who lost the fight? I don't even know if there was a winner, but you know, I think there might have been. They were hitting each other. I mean, they were landing punches. Scary, man. Scary when people fight. Not a good thing, honestly. Kind of a funny story, but yeah, the guy actually literally. But it could have been the guy who won. Wouldn't that suck? Just out of sheer over excitement, your body, because your human bodies do weird stuff in like, you know, extreme stress, right? That could happen. To lose your bowels, even though you're the one winning the fight. I don't know. I just, for some reason, my brain just flashed like an entire movie about a guy who does that. That would be a pretty good trademark wrestling move, though, wouldn't it? If you're really looking for a new WWE career. Yeah, so that's thanks for interviewing me, Martha, on 60 Minutes. Why let's not something. Okay. All right. So let's jump ahead now. September. Holy shit, 4 notifications. Yes. Mom, I finally made it. I moved to Hollywood a million years ago. So here's Mitch McConnell freezing again. I've actually not seen this. This will be interesting. And I have a longer version on a different YouTube video, so we're probably going to watch it multiple times. Let's see this. Let's go. Let's see what happens here with our Mitchie boy. You know, he was, oh, by the way, after the first one, he came back like that same day. Cleared. Doctors gave him a look over, took a squeegee to the back of his thighs, and he was fine. And sent him back to work. In fact, well, let's just see. We'll get to that. Here he goes.
Talks about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
I like that it starts with him not hearing somebody. He's like 80. Well, how old is this fucking dinosaur? By the way, Nancy Pelosi announced she's running for Congress again, guys. So you can put down your suicide pills. We don't have to off ourselves. We're going to keep the leadership we've had that got us into this mess. Isn't that great? Isn't that nice? Joe Biden's running again too. Yeah, that's the guy that we need. That's what the second half of the 20s is calling for. Totally. I forgot to type. Mitch McConnell, age. 81. Born on February 20th, 1942. He was a war baby. His parents were probably watching Nazis murder people when they were having sex. Evidence is right before us. Let's see here. No. Start over though. So he sounds what? He was like what?
Talks about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
Oh. He's gone.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Look at this. There's always a lady. I mean, certainly a male could do such a thing too, but there's always a lady who's just like, you okay? What do we need to do for you right now? And then there's people like me in the background going, oh, thank God some lady's helping the old fucking guy. I don't want to have to do that. Their lips are shiny. Ugh, gross. There's food. There's dried food on their thumbnail. Ugh.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
She has no idea what to do.
Penny.
I wonder if she's like another politician, though. Some local ghoul. I don't know who she is. I shouldn't. But if you're coming to Mitch McConnell's aid, I mean, I think any old person having an issue, I don't know. This is one of the worst human beings to ever exist. He has dedicated his life to sustaining every wretched thing about the United States and about humans in general. He has caused so much grief and misery for millions and millions and millions of people, even more than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a big one in that score too. Mitch? Oh, look at him. He has no clue where he is.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's why we got to go to World War IV. Oh, he suddenly gets just like lightning starts, his body starts glowing. He's inhabited by some space traveling fucking psycho from the future who is here to make sure that we don't build a good world. I'm back. Bye bye. Oh, it starts vomiting up stuff.
Anybody else have a question? Please speak up.
Please speak. Sorry, that guy. This is all right. He's gone. He's out for a long time too. It looks so he locks down his eyes. Mouth closed. Is that the part where his butt clenches? I don't know. See, but here's the thing. The reason I'm going into so much detail about the pluging that's happening, because his butt pluge clearly is failing, is freezing again. Now, it's obviously possible that it could be poop again, if it was poop the first time. If you're at the point in your life where that system's, I'm in my 40s. I can already tell it's starting to go. Wiener dribbles a little too much. I can tell. It's not. I have nowhere near the same robust powers as in my 20s. You don't even think you have powers in your 20s. If you're in your 20s, just cherish it. Take a big hard piss and just fucking cherish it. I probably should keep doing yoga though. I think that'll strengthen up the overall carriage. I'm still very young for that to be a thing, right? I don't know. What's healthcare? I don't have any idea. Is the cut on the top of my head cancer, or did I scrape it? I can't tell. Who can see the top of their head? It's impossible. But the fact that this is happening, so it could be a pattern. It could be a pooping incident again. But this kind of makes me think it might not be. This pulls back a little bit on my previous change of heart or change of mind on what I suspected it was. And I'm not speaking in confidence here, though. Most of what I say, I wonder if people pick up on this. I try to make it pretty obvious. Is I'm pretty suspicious of absolutes and overconfidence. There's always nuance. Usually you don't have all the information, even when you think you do. But when you're internalizing, when you're ingesting shit through your phone, through your computer, through your internet, through your iPad, whatever the fuck, it's all a big game of telephone in a sense, but it's an algorithm generated version of that. And it also goes through your own distortion system, your matrix that distorts reality. The photons and the waves are all real, but as soon as it hits your eyes and your ears, you turn it into something that your consciousness recognizes as reality. And then you jump. And so it's almost impossible to ever have all the information. In some situations, you can be incredibly confident. I definitely am certainly overconfident lots of times about things I'm doing and saying and whatever, but I generally lean into probability as stuff, as trying to get into whether something seems likely or unlikely, or this is just one of the possibilities. We can consider it, even though it has a 10% chance. It's interesting. Let's talk about it. But people love to just think of a possibility of something and then immediately decide that that's exactly the causality. That's exactly how the narrative flows. That's exactly how it works. And I am right. And especially if it reaffirms some sort of bias that you have. Confirmation bias is being one of the king biases of all those. So let's watch a longer version. This is from our friends WLWT Channel 5 NBC, friends of the show. 181 upvotes. I like that. That's good. Here's Mitch McConnell. I think from what I can tell, he's at the beginning. So we'll get to see more past the lady. I won't interrupt until we get back to that point.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
Oh.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator.
Poor lady. Uh-oh. Stand next to him. Stand next to him. That guy's got an earpiece. He's a security guy, probably. Event. Oh.
okay.
Speak up.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
Please speak up. Make sure that this wretched old crypt keeper can hear you. He's got one ear bone left. He doesn't have the 3 little ones that we all got. He's got one, and it's covered in ancient scroll dust. That's the Crypt Keeper.
Senator Daniel Cameron, you have a comment on Daniel Cameron?
Well, I think the government race is going to be very close.
Oh, he's back. He's back. He's back. Now, if I were making fun of a dude in a nursing home who didn't have virtually supreme power over the mightiest nation to ever exist for 50 years, this guy's had so much influence over this stuff. The people we think have power are usually like in aggregate. If you add up all of Mitch McConnell's influence versus like Ronald Reagan or some sort of like the front person is rarely, I mean, yeah, definitely. And this is an odd thing to kind of quantify, but to have so much influence for so long, and these people, these dinosaurs are just hanging on. Why do we call them dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are just alive a long time ago. That doesn't make them old. There were teenage dinosaurs. It's not like they were all elderly the entire time. Do you ever think about how that's not quite accurate?
Far and away the best candidate we could have nominated.
He's doing his best. This is the kind of raging endorsement we all. Poor lady though. Oh, watch her eyes. She's just like, oh fuck. This is going to be on some asshole's podcast. Jesus Christ.
Well,
She's going. This is going to be on my favorite podcast, Winners and Losers, with Frank Thompson.
the government race is going to be very close.
So he answers.
Far and away the best candidate we could have nominated. And the state has become increasingly Republican. In fact, the government is on the Democrat left.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that made a lot of sense. Thanks, Mitchy boy. Thanks, buddy.
So I'm optimistic that Daniel will be our next governor.
Okay, I think we can do one more.
No, she's doing more questions. Thank you, folks. Well, please submit the rest of your questions in writing. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Move on. Come on. No. I'm gonna go to the. I'm gonna go to the trampoline park. We're gonna go to the trampoline park. Do some. I've got parkour training this afternoon before I meet with the Koch brothers. Talk about how we're gonna drink foreskin smoothies for dinner. His poop turns into like a demon. It's just like hissing at the reporters.
Senator, what is your reaction on Trump's latest indictment? Would you support him as a nominee?
It's a question about Trump.
She just gives him the keyword Trump. He probably still remembers what that is. I'm sure he'll say something. Remember Trump? You dated her. You dated after the war. Yeah, remember? No, not that war. No, not that war either, silly. Nobody dated during the Korean War. That was barely a war anyway, wasn't it? It was a big war. It was a real war.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment about the presidential race, either on the Republican side or the Democrat side.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, thank you all.
There you go. Moving on.
Thank you. Sorry.
You got parkour training to go to there. Look at this guy. Supreme power. Once he gets out of the way, I will still make fun of Mitch McConnell, by the way. He's an evil person. But you shouldn't just do this about regular ass old people. It's not fair. This guy devoted his life to making sure people don't get anywhere near the level of care that he gets. And empowering the worst people over workers, over, just a society that is just being squeezed for as much blood as possible. All right, so let's get some news in here now. WCVB doctor analyzes Senator Mitch McConnell's latest episode.
We've been reporting here on News Center 5 tonight. Another scary moment just hours ago for Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For sure.
He was attacked by a family of California condors who were wielding swords in their beaks and claws, just like the guy from One Piece.
After a reporter asks him whether he plans to run for re-election in 2026.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Let's go fast.
All right, I'm sorry, you already need a minute.
Double speed.
So after pausing for about 30 seconds, Senator
regular.
McConnell cleared his throat and answered a few more questions, but then appeared to struggle through those
Don't
questions.
overdo the decorations there, by the way, GOP. Jesus Christ. N-Cage, Chamber of Commerce, something Kentucky. Is that what it is supposed to be?
Here to offer his thoughts is Dr. David Thaler, the neurologist in chief at Tufts Medical Center. Doctor, thank you
He's the best doctor. He's the best. He's the best.
so much for joining us.
Great to have you, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
I'm the best.
Right off the top, let's be very clear. The 81-year-old senator is not your patient, right? You haven't seen him. He's not your patient, right?
That's correct.
But after seeing this video, you're a decorated professional. After seeing this video, what questions do you have?
Yeah, well, I saw this video as well as the one from a month or so ago, and this fits into a category of a neurological spell. That means he's fine, something happens, and then he's fine again. I'm presuming that he's not like this all the time. And the collection of explanations for these brief spells is not very large. The details that I would need to know to explain it would have to come from him, as well as from what others have observed around him.
Well, like all spells, you need the right scroll, and you have to understand the ancient runes that are on the scroll. If you're lucky, you've absorbed a dragon scream or something. Maybe you grew up with, maybe your parents abandoned you into a wicker basket and floated it down the stream in order to protect you, and it broke their hearts because they have magic blood, and you are actually a princess destined to become a queen. Stuff like that. And you got to be able to read what's on the scroll. Sometimes you need a powder, sometimes it's a potion. So casting spells takes not just anybody can do it, right? You got to be a pretty special person to do it. So that's what he's talking about.
So doctor, and again, you're not his doctor, but as you know, we only have a
You don't always need candles. I know everybody thinks you need candles, but they're kind of a pain in the ass. You know how easy it is when you have a room full of fucking candles, especially ones on the floor covering your pentagram and your occult symbology that you need in order to cross through the threshold, the ethereal plane that separates the natural from the supernatural. You don't necessarily need all those candles unless they're magic candles, in which case you light them with your finger. Okay? Sometimes it is necessary. They do offer a nice mood, nice lighting anyway. But when you wear big flowing robes and you have pubic hair and beard hair that travels far and wide, candles everywhere is a bad idea. That's what they don't tell you in all the shows with torches and candles, is that there were people catching themselves on fire with their big ass hair, their stinky butt, their stinky hair. They didn't have Pert Plus back then. They were lighting themselves up all the time during their spells and just walking around.
few pieces of the puzzle here. So far, his office has confirmed at least 3 falls this year, including one in March that left him with a concussion and broken ribs. And then last month...
And now he's suing the trampoline gym over that one because they need to make the ceiling taller. All the rambunctious teens that go to it have never reached the heights that Mitch McConnell did. He was fucked up on gummy juice, and he bounced and bounced here and there and everywhere, and he bonked his head. And that's why that trampoline gym now has a Mitch McConnell shaped dent in its roof. That's how he got that concussion. Being a man, being a fucking man. Okay? At the trampoline gym. Oh, my eye.
He appeared to have, and you were saying that you had just seen this as well, that incident similar to the one today where he froze mid-sentence during a press conference, seemed disoriented and confused. So do you think that these separate events...
Would you call... I guess you'd call that confused. Confused is... There's just not enough information to say confused. Not to be pedantic here, but like confusion is generally like your options are overwhelming, or you mean like you're just confused, like you're failing to reconcile notions in your mind And it's like active kind of stress to me. I mean, unless it's chronic and it kind of goes on and on. I've been confused since I was a baby about why people behave the way they do. Turns out that's autism. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing that for? Why is that? Why is it active? But yeah, disoriented. I mean, it's fair. I definitely am not, sure. I'm not gonna, she still should stay as a newscaster.
Possibly be related.
They could possibly be related. And I don't think that whatever's causing this to happen caused the fall, but the fall and the head injury.
Well, Janet, what he was missing was Eye of Newt. He did not have enough Eye of Newt in the potion that was brewed by the hags of Hormuth over there down at the bogs, the one you have to cross the troll bridge to get to. So I'm hearing reports that he was using green Eye of Newt when actually the recipe calls for blue, which is a lot harder to get. You got to be like a level 45 to get that. And I mean, Mitch himself is a level 90, but that doesn't mean that he can automatically just get blue Eye of Newt.
Could theoretically be related to these episodes. Frankly, I think the most likely explanation is little tiny seizures, which are
I thought he was going to say penises.
Electrical changes in the brain.
TIAs?
Come and go.
The TIAs?
No, TIA is a blood flow problem.
Oh, I thought you meant Tia Carrera, the famous actor.
And I think that's less likely because if he's having the same spell over and over, it's more likely to be a seizure than it is to be
interesting. Okay.
Let me expand the conversation a little bit, Doctor. Many of us, and honestly, it's happened to me. You lose your train of thought.
We both
you forget what you're saying, and you go, "Where was I? And then what was I talking about?" It at the time doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but is it a big deal?
That's the entire premise of this podcast. What was I saying? Why did I start?
What you're describing and that we've all experienced, probably not. This looks a little different than that. It looks different in duration and in severity, where he really seems to have.
Sorry, I'm just remembering my first hand job. I gave it to Hitler right before he blew his brains.
Lost the ability to communicate momentarily. What's important is also what's present. I mean, he wasn't paralyzed. He didn't fall down. He didn't lose consciousness. So that goes into the discussion about what could be.
There's like some demonic necromancer, just like, like worm tongue. However, there was a demonic necromancer there influencing his psyche through powers and unholy magics that none of us really comprehend. Only a level 95 wizard could possibly have a chance of at least arresting that process.
I also noticed too that when his aide stepped up, did you hear the question, Senator? He said yes. So he responded immediately to her question, which was
you're right. So his consciousness seems to have been altered.
Right.
It wasn't completely altered, and he was able to respond to some.
That when there's a doctor on television talking to a couple newscasters, and he says his consciousness seems to have been altered, that's a sign that you should not be in power, that you should not be commanding a mighty legion of human demons who influence their world with such verve. We need a younger monster. We need someone who's got several decades ahead of them to be imposing horrifying American right-wing policies on the rest of us at the behest of the capitalist overlords who are taking us all to hell with them so they can have money in 1,000 years. I need money in millions of years, so we're going to kill everybody in the next 200 years. It's a bad design. It's bad design. Capitalism is bad design.
Degree. But clearly he wasn't functioning at the level that he typically does.
All right. Dr. Thaler, thank
you. I'll do cartwheels on my way out here to the parkour gym. All right. Thanks, buddy. Let's see how the GOP responds. I'm going on and on about this. I'm sorry. This is honestly, I'm suddenly filled with regret. Proud Boy sentences for January. That's right. Some of those guys are going away for a long time. Here we go.
Sticking in Washington, we turn to the key Republican now questioning if GOP Senate leader Mitch McConnell is fit to serve after that alarming moment when he appeared to freeze at an event. Ali Vitale with the late details.
Tonight, Republicans taking on their own. The Senate.
Sorry, that threw me off. I was expecting Ali Velshi for some reason. That's because he said Ali Vitale. And my brain thought I was going to hear the soothing, dulcet, mellifluous tones of Ali Velshi.
It's the most privileged nursing home in the country. I mean,
Sorry, we'll back up. Sorry.
Ben, Ali Vitale with the late details.
tonight, Republicans taking on their own. The Senate is the most privileged nursing home in the country.
That's right.
I mean, Mitch McConnell has done some great things, and he deserves...
That is probably not true. You know, there's got to be some nursing homes. Although if you're super, super, super rich, you probably got private care at your own place. But there's facilities for old, dying billionaires that got to be just amazing. All their relatives squabbling over the scraps that they hope to inherit.
credit, but you have to know when to leave. That scathing new shot from presidential contender Nikki Haley after Senator Mitch McConnell froze for more than 30 seconds Wednesday at an event in Kentucky.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
I'm sorry, y'all. He's transmitting the information from the ethereal plane. Gonna need just a quick minute for him to finish that download. You got it, Mitch? Okay, buddy? All right. Is the evil watchmaker at the center of the galaxy supplying you with instructions? Okay there, buddy? All right. You going to vote for the Democrat?
I'm not going to vote for no Democrat.
It's the second time that's happened in 2 months. The Capitol physician saying McConnell is medically...
Here's what the second one was. It was the poop finishing its mission from the first one and slithering up and back home.
clear to work, and that moments like these are not uncommon in concussion recovery, which the 81-year-old sustained after a fall back in March. Senate Republicans largely rallying behind their leader.
I'm afraid that he's healthy.
And so is
Tim Scott. He is a bachelor, which is a big thing of like, it's really entertaining. I don't give a shit. I mean, well, they're all Republican, fucking ghouls, but like, he's not married. He's never been married. And so that has everybody freaking out because they're all such weirdos about the family man and the family. So he'll probably have his turn as a front runner. I think that's something I was trying to say last week that I didn't get to. I stopped getting my own way. I forget. Anyway, see, I just did it. Every Republican is going to take a turn at the one spot. At least it seems like that happens. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but because they all cycle through, then everybody realizes how much of a douche they are, and then the next person gets their turn. Trump is obviously a major X factor in that. So, but I still expect him to eventually have a week or two, a few news cycles where he gets to sort of be the kid in the passenger seat at the kid in the cockpit at the airplane next to Trump. Trump is still going to dominate this whole thing, obviously. But anyway, it's funny that he is there. Everybody speculates and worries and wonders about what he does as a bachelor because he's not married. It's the whole construct of the presidency is so ridiculous in this country, especially.
And so is President Biden.
He was his old self on the telephone.
Age now back in the spotlight at a time when voters are already...
We just shared memories of being back in college, drinking hooch, planning a white supremacist rally. It was just like when we were young, when we were boys together.
concerned about it.
My friend.
77% of Americans, including 69% of Democrats, think President Biden is too old to effectively serve as president. A smaller number, 51% of Americans, have age concerns about Republican frontrunner former President Trump. Meanwhile, some Democrats have called on 90-year-old California Senator Dianne Feinstein to resign after moments of apparent confusion, like this. Colleagues telling her when to vote.
Just say aye. Okay, just...
What?
Aye.
Feinstein's spokesperson said she was preoccupied at the time.
She's cute. It's so cute.
All right, Ali joins us live. Ali, in the case of these senators in Kentucky and California, do voters have any recourse?
Voters have no say in any of this, Tom, until these senators are up for re-election. But incidents like this underscore that both parties are going to have to contend with the issue of age in 2024.
All right. Thanks. Look at the stories here. Why does Oklahoma have so many lesbian bars? Oh, man. Bible Belt lesbian bars, it says right there. 7 minutes and 12 seconds. Sorry, I didn't swallow my food correctly. And school districts adopting 4-day class week. I think that's partially to do with like funding and terribleness, but the 4-day work week does seem to be picking up a little bit of steam. I have a lot to say about that topic, but anyway, that's another thing we'll get back to eventually. So what else we got here? Sorry, God damn it. What did I open up here? Oh, this is him answering questions about whether or not he's okay to serve. Okay, so here he is. All the spells have been cast. All the dented ceilings have at the trampoline park have been fixed. or at least put a plaque upon it.
You didn't tell us what it might have been. Do you know what it is?
You've had all these evaluations. What have doctors said is the precise medical reason for those 2 freeze-ups?
What Dr. Monahan's report addressed was concerns people might have. It's some things that happened to me.
That I can no longer be as evil as I normally am.
His face turns into mouths. Every hole, every pore, his eyes first, his nose, 2 mouths, just becomes mouths, and then teeth. And then it all just sucks back in like large Marge. And then everybody just is like,
and that's why it was going to be fine. Just pursuing the agenda to stop the Democrats.
It did happen. Well, they didn't. And it's really, I have nothing to add to that. I think you pretty well covered the subject.
Plus, everybody making a big deal about,
What do you say to those who are calling on you to step down? Do you have any plans to retire anytime soon?
I have no announcements to make on that subject.
Yes, I'll be retiring in 50 years when I reach the young age to ascend to the second level of demon heaven.
I'm going to finish my term as leader, and I'm going to finish my Senate term. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Now there's a lady covered in blood in the fucking Fox News. Jeez, really, what the fuck? Joe Biden had a little bit to say. This is where he's, he's friends with Mitch. I remember, I think on this show of mine here last summer, I think I did a Jimmy Kimmel appearance of Joe Biden's on Jimmy Kimmel, where he was going on about how his buddy Mitch, and he was like talking about Mitch as if like he had like a house, like he had like an aunt in, like he was like, yeah, his caucus has changed. They're like, he was sort of sympathizing with the fact that Mitch has to wrangle his party in a certain, like, cause like the composition of the Republican Party has definitely evolved over time from one era to the next. And yeah, it was just like, what is going on here? These guys, it was just so bizarre and so out of touch, because he comes from this old school notion of like, yeah, you know what? Hey, they have lots of big fights there on the Congress House floor, but afterwards they all go out for a drink and they all go out for a dinner and they hang out with each other, and their kids go to the same schools and their wives go to the same orgy pit. Blah 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 blah. And meanwhile, the Democrats like to hold on to that, to pretend as if that's what they're that they're trying to do, and the Republicans have never played by those things. Maybe not never per se, but it's this fairy tale storybook bullshit that especially Joe McBiden, that Joe McBiden loves to do.
By the way, I just heard literally coming out. And Mitch is a friend, as you know, not a joke. We always, people don't believe that's the case, but we have disagreements politically, but he's a good friend. And so I'm going to try to get in touch with him.
He and I have murdered many hobos together. Many. We got one scheduled for tonight. In fact, he's already been let loose. But the bastard's got a tracking dart in him already, because Mitch did a cartwheel off of a trampoline and parkoured off of the Nancy Reagan Memorial Monument.
Later this afternoon. I don't know enough to know.
Do you think he's
Thank you.
All right. And should run for the election?
What? Is there? Why is my penis leaking like a huge capillary?
All right, so Joe Biden's saying, I'm tired of this. Let's move on. Fuck it. These people are all horrible, rotten pieces of shit. Oh, wait a minute. One more. Oh, yeah. He says he'll complete a Senate term. All right, we'll leave it at that. Just for fun, though, let's just get back into some memories here. I think everybody likes memories. We all like traveling back into when we were much more innocent before our pimples popped. And you'll remember Jerry Nadler coming on stage. Let's get him on screen here. That's Nancy Pelosi. This is on C-SPAN, by the way. I went to the source. There he is. There's Jerry. This is a very powerful dude. He's had a whole bunch of stuff. This is obviously during the early, I think this was 2020, and I'm looking for a date here. I don't know exactly have it. But famously, and I'm skeptical that it was a poopy event. Why would anybody? How am I not embarrassed? Shit, hold on. God damn it. Okay, we're back. Okay. I gotta get new headphones. It's actually the problem with my plug is not it's the headphones themselves. So I definitely need. It's driving me absolutely fucking crazy. Honestly, as broke as I am, I might need to just bite the bullet. Okay. All right. Shit. Can't be a fucking video editor who doesn't have headphones that work. Okay. So Jerry Nadler was caught, we think. The dominant theory, because it's the most fun, is that he does have an evacuation. What would be the opposite of a staycation? A spraycation. His butt gets a good old plooge here. He plooges out a spraycation. But before we get to the part where we think that's what happened, and there might be other camera angles to this, we can see how he walks. He's got some kind of physical ailment that makes it hard for him, or difficult for him to walk, I think. And I'm not going to just make fun of him for that, but it's important to see how. Okay, so they're getting ready to talk about the Protecting Our Democracy Act.
House Democrats held a news conference where they introduced legislation that would impose new checks on presidential power and toughen enforcement of ethics rules and congressional subpoenas.
There we go.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Intelligence Committee Chair.
House Democrats are being completely railroaded by the Republicans who do not honor the norms or standards that the Democrats pretend to honor. And they're going to waste a bunch of time spinning their wheels in the mud, failing to once again look out for the interests of the American people, which is actually why they're there, because their donors don't want them to do that. It would be bad for profits.
Adam Schiff, along with the chairs of several committees, addressed recent actions.
There he is, Jerry. So look, he has issues, but he takes a fairly confident step. Okay, though that was the part I wanted you to see. Let's back up a little bit.
Intelligence Committee Chair Adam Schiff, along with the chairs of several committees, addressed recent actions by.
Okay. So he's taking some tough steps there, not looking very comfortable. Then he gets going. Shit, I didn't get the mark. Okay, there. Okay, that's it there. So Pelosi is like the ringleader of this gang. She introduces Jerry. He says a few things. I think this is close enough.
That are so fundamental to our democracy.
Oh yeah, it's good podcasting. There he goes. Look, okay, now did he start pooping? He's trying.
As I bring on Congresswoman Maloney, I want to join the distinguished chairman in acknowledging.
He's got to go. This is the point where he decides he's got to make a break for it.
Members of Congress that are contained in the chairman's.
Contain's not the word I would use.
That they are putting forth, and chairwoman's. And I also want to acknowledge Maxine Waters is doing
Time to go.
very important work.
Make your move, Ocean's 11. Come on.
This package,
oh, look at those small steps.
Preserving our democracy.
Ooh, someone give him an elbow. Look at those little tiny steps. Oh no, I think he might have just stood off to the side.
Madam Chair.
See, I don't know. Those are little bitty steps, but maybe he just didn't want to build up too much momentum. You know, I follow astronomy pretty closely. Sometimes you only need a slight adjustment, and then take your time getting to where you need to be. Right? It's all about it's not just about how you accelerate, it's also about how you decelerate. Just as important. Arguably more so. I wish I had a really cool, fun astronomy girlfriend, and she was like a professional scientist, and then I would say funny stuff about deceleration, and then we would have sex, and then I would cook her favorite food, and then be a bad influence on her in terms of ice cream, and we'd get fat and then die of sepsis. I wish. A boy can dream. Let's just back up a little bit. Oh, they do have 10-second jumps. Okay. So there's clips on there's one clip on YouTube where people are making fart noises, which I find highly juvenile and inappropriate, which is why I'm going to do some
work on this subject, not part of this package, but part of preserving our democracy. With that, I'm pleased to yield to the distinguished chairwoman of the Government Reform and Oversight Committee, Madam Chair Carolyn Maloney.
We're free. We're free. Little tiny like demon poops. Now let me explain the magic there, guys. I know most of y'all don't live in Los Angeles and are not professional entertainers like myself. Okay. I have a superior ability to entertain. And this is what I was doing. My Foley to explain it. This is like when Martin Scorsese gives interviews about his editing. And I guess he pays some lady to do the editing. freelance work. He finds people on Craigslist. No, there's some lady that he's like been partnered with forever. She's obviously, I think it. God damn it! All right, Thelma Schoonmaker, Martin Scorsese's editor. There you go. 5 decades of work with filmmaker Scorsese. So, every bit is instrumental to the. Okay, why am I going on about that? The Foley process I did there, just the genius that you just got to hear, was me dialing it down. See, it's not about expression. It's about restraint. Because he's got old, worn out sphincter parts. His blooge. What word did I say? Plooge? His blooge. His sluice gate is a little rusty. They wear out. The theme of this episode. The plooge gates wear out. So you're not going to get good, strong, pow, 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 pow farting. You're not going to get... You're not going to get those. You might get a high pitch. I'm adding little vocal cords to that one. You're going to get a lot of air. Patreon.com/winners and losers. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was farting. I don't know. Could be. Could be. That's the risk you take when you want to be in power. Okay? You might have to crap yourself in front of the camera. Let's move it on here. Rob Schneider. What has he got to say? I know this guy's got a big heart. I saw him on Glenn Beck About to Cry, wearing a hat. I don't have that clip, but they're just looking like two very stressed out rich men about how bad things are going. But he's famous. He ate an apple on Saturday. No, that's Chris Kattarn. He gave Adam Sandler water. He carried water for Adam Sandler. What a lucky break that would be. God, I would love to be a fucking lackey to Adam Sandler. This is obviously a day before the Republican debate. I bookmarked this a while back. Left livid, their cultural monopoly is over. That's the Chiron. This is on Fox News. He's with Laura Ingraham, the lady who did the Nazi salute at the 2008 Republican convention. She straight up does that. At least it seems like it. Wearing a huge old cross, though, of course. That's going to be part of the American, Christo-fascists that are seeking to take over. And it will be done through people who have rich guy collars, like Rob Schneider does in this video, however he's dressed. Okay. Oh, this is some Twitter account that says Rob Schneider tells it like it is. He always does. Smiley thing. We are very grateful for Rob, and he has always been very polite when I have talked to him. I have no doubt. Let's see if he's funny. Not that he's required to be funny, but he did make his bones in the world of comedy before he became a forehead model.
If you get in the room, that's why it's so important to have dialogue on campus. So instead of demonizing everybody, you said, let's talk. If you have a better idea, I'm going to adjust my opinion. The idea of a belief system. That's why the woke thing is a religion, because if you dare oppose any of it or question it, you're a heretic. And that's where the canceling comes in.
That's what religion is. If you oppose religion, you're called a heretic. That's the definition of a religion. That's funny. That actually is somewhat accurate.
I think James Lindsay does a great job talking about that. Jeffrey Tucker. But I do think canceling comes in.
I'm backing up a little bit here.
And that's where the canceling comes in. I think James Lindsay does a great job talking about that. Jeffrey Tucker. But I do think if you can get one-on-one with people and have conversations again, that's what's so good about the podcasts, is that you can have a long conversation. You can come on and then you realize that we're not so far apart. But, I will say those algorithms push you in your own political echo chambers because they'll keep you there as long as you can.
That's right.
I think when Americans can talk to each other, we realize, when there was that flood, that's like I say in my comedy special, when there was that flood in Houston and the boats were coming to rescue people on the rooftops, you know what they weren't saying? Are you a Democrat or Republican up there? This is the Republican boat. Sorry, the Democrat boat's coming soon.
He's doing his act.
Good luck with that. It's a kayak.
He just launched into his act. He even warned her. I mean, I will pull up old stand-up bits. I'm a failed stand-up comedian for sure. I have great jokes. This is like me when I suddenly announced that I will pay for your abortions. I never actually worked that one into my act, though. I did have this great bit about it. It was actually a tag onto one of my openers. Look at him. He just starts doing his fucking
For
act.
the environment.
He's a Jerry Nadler fan, just like me. I agree with him. Honestly, if I got to have a conversation in person with him, I would probably first start by apologizing for making fun of him to his face. Or if I were to meet him and stuffing. I wouldn't want to be just a disrespectful dickhead. See where we could actually agree and start off with. I would be him slumming it, though. He never would. I mean, I'm such a nobody for obviously so many reasons. I do like that he just jumps into he just pulls up one of his stand-up, one of his jokes from his act. That's funny.
Not so far apart. But, you know, I will say those algorithms push you in your own political
this is the stuff we could agree on. My algorithms push me towards lefties who are sensitive, and his algorithm pushes him towards Glenn Beck.
Because they'll keep you there as long as you can. But I think when Americans can talk to each other, we realize, when there was that flood, that's like I say in my comedy special, when there was that flood in Houston and the boats were coming to rescue people on the rooftops, you know what they weren't saying? Are you a Democrat or Republican up there? This is the Republican boat. Sorry, the Democrat boat's coming soon. Good luck with that. It's a kayak. It's better.
What level necromancer are you? Are you chaotic good or chaotic evil? You notice what he's talking about, though? He's talking about the Houston flooding, I think.
But I think when Americans can talk to each other, we realize, when there was that flood, that's like I say in my comedy special, when there was that flood in Houston.
Just trying to plug his special, too. Oh, my God, I got to go get that comedy special. That flood in Houston was a huge, huge, huge rain event. I think it was a tornado remnant, I don't remember the exact weather dynamics, but it was a big old flood. It really fucked up a lot of the Houston area. I've actually had a thought about that for a long time. Not just that, but this made me remember this, though. But like when those sorts of things happens, and he's talking about how people showed up in boats to go help others, and they didn't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. So, he's talking about the human impulse to be of service to other humans, to see another human in distress and to want to do something about it and to rescue them. And if you have the ability and, take a risk to go do something, all those feel-good stories of the Armada showing up, people with boats on the back of their truck, people who have their, maybe they're already there, but people doing stuff to get the old lady out of the house, get that dog that's standing on the roof, off the roof and into a boat, that whole thing. Although we absolutely do not give a shit about saving people from the governmental perspective beyond the point where it might affect their politicians locally. I'm talking about like Katrina and other events where these disasters are actually highly, highly useful and profitable opportunities for wealthy and investors. But what he's referring to is what human beings do naturally. You have an instinct to help, and it feels really good to help people. It feels really good to burn energy, to use your own body, your own life, to take your own time and go and do something for someone who really needs some help. Except we don't apply that anywhere else in society. We do have some like tiny, tiny little dried up streams of help out there. But where do the corporations go during those events? This is a capitalism comment here. Where does capitalism go during those events? They run, man. They're the first ones out of town. You're lucky if they turn off the burners on their refineries before they fucking take off as fast as they fucking can. They have no interest in saving anybody's lives. They call their lawyers. They have meetings with their insurance adjusters at most, or they tell their other people to do that for them. Humans. And I don't like saying this is what socialism is, because that's not what socialism is, but that impulse to rush to the aid of someone else, to go rescue somebody, to go help, to be available for this attempt because people are going to need help. That's incredibly healthy. That's a wonderful thing that he's talking about. But he supports politics, and he supports right-wing politicians and the conservative movement. He supports an entire mode of thinking and an entire apparatus, an entire economic system that deletes that impulse, that sees that impulse as a threat, that makes it so that we don't do economic functions based around that impulse, that really, truly healthy thing that humans have, the feeling of altruism, the fact that how good it feels to help somebody. And I actually don't mind that people brag about helping. I think that's fine. Like that whole thing, like, oh, you're talking about helping. Like, yeah, go ahead. You deserve credit for it. We should celebrate that. We should encourage public. If that's the only motivation, I suppose we could pick that apart, I guess. But he acts like that this is exactly what conservatives love to do, though. They love to just pretend that their entire philosophy is about restricting the kind of help that he's celebrating in this comment from his act. They don't want people showing up and helping and offering them money or other forms of help. I mean, I would meant to say demanding money for their help. That's what they'll allow. You get a bill for the ambulance. You'll get a bill for holding, like in America, they charge you money to hold your baby. They charge for it. And it varies because these hospital corporations are these demonic succubuses. I don't even know if that's right. But his entire economic philosophy is the antithesis of showing up and helping people. And we could build a world around that impulse. We could build a world around, I honestly think the whole concept of work. I can't believe I'm not even close to my other fucking one. I might just have to do two. Okay. We could build a whole concept about service and about building and strengthening community and doing so in service of others. And that might include currency flowing around. Money should function as if we're going to restrict ourselves to a world built around money, it should be used as a lubricant. Instead, it's used as a source of scarcity and friction. There's nothing scarce about money. It's an abstract concept we made up to simplify barter, more or less. But it's a way the boss uses. It's a technology that the boss uses to store your time so that they can spend your value later. It's time storage technology in an entropic sense. I need to work on my language around that one. I think it'd be a cool animation. But this motherfucker's talking about all these people helping each other and not caring that they're Democrats or Republicans, except the entire notion of Republican policies are to restrict, is to impose false scarcity on humans who need help, on all the human needs that we need to feel okay, so that we could be healthy enough to help other people. That's the entire foundation of the economy, is to impose and to enclose things humans need, and then to charge them money in order to get it. And in order to get money, you have to compel them to work. And now that and in order to work, and now that they've made everything expensive, being alive is expensive. You're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to work more. You're going to have to show up more and more and more and more for the people in the world who have enough money for millions and millions of years. They need to be able to buy a Maserati in 20,000 years. This whole thing about Bidenomics too, which I find very entertaining, that the White House is trying to push out this narrative that Joe Biden's economy is so great. They're leaning into it. This is what they're running on. First of all, they're trying to harken back to Reaganomics. I think other phrasing, like putting the word gate at the end of something to indicate a scandal, is with omics, Reaganomics. I think there's been like Clintonomics, Bushonomics, that doesn't really work, Trumponomics, but they're leaning hard into Bidenomics because there's some indicators that's the stats, economists, stats nerds can come up with that show that things are doing okay. Meanwhile, though, life expectancy is going down, survival, the savings rate is actually very low, debt is higher than ever. But I think I kind of want to do a much deeper kind of researched version of this argument, but I think a massive, massive reason why it's not hitting. Well, first of all, you have the articulation caused by internet technology. Like we're not just 5 channels on TV anymore. So people are getting their information from wildly disparate sources. But a huge reason, in my sense, is people can tell that their lives are being wasted working all the time, so that some fucking asshole who couldn't give 2 shits about them gets to live in absolute luxury and has all the money in the world that they'll ever need. So people are starting to detect the scam. Even the narrative that the narrative that your contribution is rewarded in your own sense, and that, yes, that's how it is. The guy has a job. He gives you a job. You're lucky to get a job. You get paid. You go buy stuff. You live your own life. That's kind of the tough shit. Life is unfair. Deal with it sort of. And for some people, that's fine. some people, they don't care. They don't necessarily even think it's wrong or weird, or their imaginations are incapable of coming up with anything different. So they feel threatened when anybody like myself wants to tell them something different. Why am I getting a phone call from CDC National Immunity? There's no way that's fucking real. Speaking of fucking scammers. So they're fed upon at every single stage of life by these, and I think more people are picking up on that, though. I think that consciousness is escalating. And on top of it all, you have the very real and very, although I suppose you might argue it's intangible, but the notion of the devastation caused by climate change that we're all losing so quickly. Meaning we're losing the sense that there's a positive future ahead. Like the summer where we had June, July, and August were the hottest Junes, Julys, and Augusts since record keeping began. This is going to be a very, very nice, cool summer in 20 years. We're going to talk about how comfortable and nice it was back when it was only in the mid 90s. And then LA is actually, we've gotten pretty lucky last few years, I'd say, in terms of avoiding big heat waves. I live close enough to the ocean that it's very fortunate. So, but the only thing I'll miss when I finally get out of LA, for sure. There's been some rough heat waves all over the country, all over the world. And, so of course people aren't feeling great about Bidenomics. Such a stupid fucking strategy. There's so much like just the accumulation of stress, I think, is really just keeps building. We've all been raised by people who are overstressed. We're raising children who are overstressed, like our generations. But I think the consciousness of it is increasing. I'm losing my articulation on that, but yeah, Rob Schneider, whatever, he's fine. He wants to have a conversation. Why can't we just sit down and talk it out? I do harbor fantasies of just hanging out and talking with some conservative person and just sort of, because I think they're used to anticipating arguments from like what they might consider to be like, well, first of all, they would think I'm a liberal. I'm absolutely not. I'm way not that at all. But I think of things in different ways. I'll man it up a little bit. I'll flip on the white guy switch a bit too, because these types of fools, they would see someone like me and be like, hey, he checks out. I don't know why I would say it. Yeah, so that's stupid. All right, Rob Schneider's kind of a moron, but he would probably say the same about me. So all's fair. Keep at it, Rob. I love that he just jumped into his act, though. That's so funny. Watch her reaction.
And the boats were coming to rescue people on the rooftops. You know what they weren't saying? Are you a Democrat or Republican up there? Hey, this is the Republican boat. Sorry. Yeah, the Democrat boat's coming soon. Good luck with that. It's a kayak.
There's the laugh.
It's better for the environment.
Good one. Tucker Carlson would have done one of his weird hyena. The thing where he just like erupts into this little giggly like the first person to ever set his dress on fire with the Easy Bake Oven. Why did I say that? Here's the, okay. I'm excited about this one. I put a bunch of hours into working on this. Of course, we're already over an hour into this whole fucking podcast. God damn it. Jordan Peterson appeared on the Theo Von show. I don't know what he calls it. Owen, is that how you say that? Owen Higgins on Twitter says, what the fuck is he talking about? So I'm not familiar with Theo Von. Like I said earlier, he is like intelligent. He seems like an intelligent, crazy moron, and I mean that in like a loving way. That stand-up comedians. He really, like my stand-up comedian detector, because I did it for some years, is like feels like this guy is a very funny guy. I have no idea what his politics are. I imagine he's interviewing Jordan Peterson. A lot of stand-up comedians I don't think necessarily have been paying attention to politics like I have been since I was 14 years old. So I do often notice that there's like comedians out there who have idiosyncratic kind of, they think they're questioning power. They don't realize they're necessarily just upholding the power structures that are there. That's a flowing conversation, I think, happening within the world of comedy. But and plenty of comedians are just good bullshit callers anyway. I think that's a kind of a trait that selects for that. So I need to switch over to Premiere Pro. Edit. Okay. Beautiful edit. Jordan Peterson is a charlatan, a dumbass. He's clearly got some mental faculties, but he's been, I've never really dialed in much on him other than, I mean, my first entree into feasting on the Jordan Peterson Inc. industry is probably through the Majority Report show with Sam Cedar, when Michael Brooks used to bag on him all the time. So I was not I'm not the person that would be in his target audience. He's a right winger. He got famous initially from, he's a professor of psychology of some kind, although I've seen all kinds of breakdowns of him. He's quite well known. He's quite famous. You probably know more about him than I do. But doing his initial splash was refusing to acknowledge some kind of trans thing or some kind of pronoun, something or other. One of those gender flashpoints that the right loves and has been milking for years. And he's done an incredible job of milking. So he's like a cultural commentator. His book, 12 Rules for Life, I've seen referenced by people who aren't like me. They're not like political junkies and they don't really watch this shit, but they heard reference like his book as if like cleaning your room is innovation. This guy's had all kinds of weird messes. People pick on him because he claimed to eat an all meat diet and stuff like that. So I've seen his kind of, he sort of has haunted the world. And I mean that in kind of he's around. He seems to get called out a lot. He seems to have a pretty loyal audience. I know he was touring or has done speaking engagements where Dave Rubin was his whatchamacallit, opener or co-host or something. I don't know how those engagements went. I worked with Dave Rubin at TYT. He was a host. I was just some lackey behind, I was a red shirt. He was a cast member. I always found it very confusing why TYT had him on as a host. Not because I knew that his politics were going to end up being this idiot right winger guy, but I just didn't get what people liked about him. He had a composure. He had like a look that was fine, that worked. He did stand up in the past. In fact, I'd performed on a show that Jimmy Dore hosted with Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin and I both did like 10-minute sets. So I've done comedy on a show with Dave Rubin. He got laughs. He wasn't great in any stretch, I would say, but he had a solid closing bit. I feel, even though I don't like Dave Rubin, I would definitely feel weird just giving up his punchline just as a comedian code thing. Well, I don't know what that even means. Who cares? He's made himself very wealthy, being a suck. He used and partially leeching off of Jordan Peterson here. So people love, especially from the sides of the world that I kind of pay attention to, love dunking on Jordan Peterson, and I find it kind of entertaining. I've already worn myself out with this fucking podcast, so I don't have anywhere near the energy I thought I would when I was editing this earlier. But nevertheless, we're going to push forward. We're going to dig deep. I was just to finish thought on Dave Rubin. Like, it always just was odd that TOT had hired him. Like, it was just, to me, even back then, because I was a long time like viewer of TOT starting in like 2007 or 8 or something like that. Paying member for much of those years too. Ended up working there, but it just always was like I always thought of Dave Rubin at TYT as being like a capable petting zoo guide. He would be able to take you from a topic and be like, all right, okay, we're going to talk about this topic now. Okay, well, that was the llama. All right, we're going to go over here and meet these nice big dogs. Okay, those are the nice big dogs. Okay, now we're going to go over here and meet this tiny horse. We got one of those little horses. It's full grown, believe it or not. Yuck, yuck. Like he didn't add anything. He just was able to introduce and then move it along and introduce. But TYT, they have who knows how they make decisions on those types of things. I don't think that they were necessarily the media geniuses that they were certainly hoping their investors would think. Anyway, Dave Rubin and has done a lot with Jordan Peterson. But here's on Theo Von, and he tells a story. This got called out on Twitter because he goes on about this thing known as a rat king. And he tells a story about what a real rat king is. And he was completely wrong about what it is. But nevertheless, it didn't stop him from launching the confidence missiles that are, and the wisdom slurry that comes out of Jordan Peterson's mouth. His beautiful Canadian boy mouth. Here we go. But then we have the edited thing we're going to show you.
Are we rolling?
Nice rat.
Thanks, man. That's my nickname, is the Rat King.
So if you're not seeing it on video, Theo's wearing a T-shirt with like a rat logo on the breast. And it's kind of like a rat with a king on its thing. So I guess his nickname is the Rat King.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so that's kind of. Do you have a nickname?
Do you know what a Rat King is?
Huh?
What?
Do you know what a Rat King is? Oh my God, it's a
my
terrible
God.
story.
Is
There
it?
is a Rat King.
I'm going to educate you now.
Well, this is the theory now. I don't know if people ever did this. So imagine your village is full of rats.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now you go catch 10 rats.
Okay.
You throw them in a pit.
Okay.
Soon, there is one rat.
What?
Because he gets all the other rats.
He's a champ?
Then you throw 10 more rats in there. Soon there's one rat. You do that 3 or 4 times. Then you take the remaining rat and you let him go. And soon there are no rats in the village.
Really?
That's the theory.
Wow. So it was like the toughest of them all.
Yeah, and then he learns to eat rats.
Wow.
Good storyteller, huh? What a charismatic speaker. He does have above average charisma overall in public speaking engagements, I would say. But he's very full of himself, to be sure. I remember reading a profile years ago or something about him, and he has like his Twitter, he's very big on Twitter, or he's had phases where he gets big on, because Twitter's gone through its own different phases, where I guess it's like his bed spread, like his quilt was a printout, like a custom made quilt of his Twitter profile. That memory just popped up. So people have pointed out that, first of all, that's not what a Rat King is. We'll explain what it is afterwards. I have a political angle to that too, about what Rat Kings are. I do refer to it occasionally, a form of solidarity that the ruling class has because they're all entwined. I'm gonna just say it. We'll see it later. But a Rat King is like when they find like a bundle of rats whose tails have become knotted up and matted together, and so that they can't separate. So it's like this horrifying circle, a star, a clock face, if you will, an emoji like the sun with the rats pointing out in all directions, all centered around their tails that are all bundled up together. So I can't imagine it happens living in clean conditions or something like that. So that's what's known as a Rat King. That's like the thing that, because there's been examples found throughout history. I have a Wikipedia page to look at later. The Rat King he's talking about is the Rat King that survives being forced to eat all the other rats in a village because it's been placed into a bucket. So it's about domination, you see. You got to dominate, otherwise the world does not make sense. Mediocre losers and my incel base would all crumble upon learning of egalitarianism. He's a big hierarchy guy. He's a big natural hierarchies are natural. Ladies, get in line, you fucking bitches. Dudes, you should control your ladies, you fucking little twerps. So as people pointed out, though, he was likely sourcing that information from one of my favorite films, Skyfall, starring Daniel Craig, who is James Bond in real life. So I took it in here. You can probably tell in my Premiere software here. That's just the video there. I did a little edit here. This is a big, this is a fairly simple one there. Then I decided to juice it up a bit more and make it a bit more palatable. So I'm going to post this as a separate video. This feels like one of those videos that could easily get stolen, and then someone was going to get a ton of views because they'll have the algorithm juiced up better than I can. But so people are comparing, before I play it, Jordan Peterson's story is incredibly similar, or at least seems to be sourced from a speech that the bad guy gives in Skyfall. The bad guy played by Javier Bardem, who is a really great, intense actor. Very, very. He's like ugly handsome. You know, he's one of those ugly handsome guys, I think I would say. Just a powerful presence. He plays the psycho dude in No Country for Old Men who jacks people up with that cow plug, that bolt gun that just sticks a bolt out a few inches. You know, there's a bunch of scenes in that movie that are really intense. Great movie. Really good for a fun date night. Really gets your girl warmed up. So I'm just going to let it play, though. I'm trying not to give it all away. This is probably more fun ingested a little bit more organically. Let's go big. Yeah. All right. Can't see the thing. That's okay. That's all right. Let me just do this, though. I'll put a marker there. I want to stretch it open just to know that I'm reaching that point. All right. Okay. Here, nope, not that one. So here's the video. And so this is Jordan Peterson and Javier Bardem doing a two-man play. The same scene by two different thespian professionals.
Are we rolling?
Nice rat.
Thanks, man.
Hello, James. Welcome.
That's my nickname is the Rat King.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like the island?
Do you know what a rat king is?
Huh?
My grandmother had an island.
Do you know what a rat king is?
One summer, we went for a visit and discovered the place had been infested with rats.
Oh, my God. It's a terrible story.
They'd come on a fishing boat and gorged themselves on coconut.
So imagine your village is full of rats.
Oh, yeah.
We buried an oil drum and hinged the lid.
Okay, so now you go catch 10 rats.
Okay.
Then we wired coconut to the lid as bait, and the rats would come for the coconut. And plunk, 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 plunk. They would fall into the drum. And after a month, we've trapped all the rats. But what did you do then?
You throw them in a pit.
Okay.
Throw the drum into the ocean? Burn it? No. You just leave it.
Soon, there is one rat.
And they begin to get hungry.
Because he gets all the other rats.
He's a champ.
And one by one, they start eating each other.
Then you throw 10 more rats in there.
Until there are only two left, the two survivors.
Soon there's one rat. You do that 3 or 4 times.
And then what? Do you kill them?
Then you take the remaining rat and you let him go.
You take them and release them into the trees.
And soon there are no rats in the village.
Really?
That's the theory.
But now they don't eat coconut anymore. Now they only eat rat.
Wow, so it was like the toughest of them all.
You have changed their nature.
Yeah, and then he learns to eat rats.
Wow.
Okay, I don't know. Was that fun? I thought that was fun. Oh, so what it is actually is it's you ever heard of a cat king? Well, it's when you've got 16 cats and each one wants to have sex with the female cat, which of course it's not her decision because it's a natural hierarchy, just like the lobsters. Yeah, that's fun. I think that's cool. I hope that worked. I'm going to put that up as a separate video, I think. I don't know if I should have my logo. I feel that's, I don't know. Should I credit Theo Von? He's super big. He makes like a ton. He's got like a huge show. I don't know if he's going to be like, hey, this guy's trying to take my, I'm not pretending to be Theo. Yeah. All right. I don't know what else there is to say. Jordan Peterson's a dumbass. Oh, the Rat King. We should get into, I just want to show you that real quick. And when we will move this bad boy on. Where's that? Okay. Wikipedia says the Rat King is a collection of rats whose tails are intertwined and bound together in some way. This may be a result of an entangling material like hair, a sticky substance, such as sap or gum. By the way, Doug Burgum, gum guzzlers. Okay, guys, gum guzzlers for Burgum, gum guzzling for America. Okay, Burgum's going to take it all the way. Okay, guzzle all the gum for everybody. Welcome, Greg Burgum, 2024.com. Or the tails being tied together. A similar phenomenon with squirrels has been observed, which has had modern documented examples. All right, so this is pretty gross stuff if you're listening to this. Oh my God, look at how horrifying that is. It's like their tails are all tied up and they're a circle. That'd be the, like I said, world's worst clock. That's a Rat King found in 1895 in Delfield, Germany. So the thing I'll read a little bit more of this, but the thing that I think about when I think of rat kings, because I'd heard about this for some time. It's been in my brain for a while. This is ruling class solidarity. This is Chuck Schumer having his kid working for Facebook. Nancy Pelosi's kid is a big one of those too. All these people, and not just the Democrats. Example, there's another one. There's another rat king. That looks like they could have untangled that one. Come on, give me a break. Maybe they dissolved the gum. So there's some rat king images. Oh God, it's in a jar. Sorry, that's all. Okay, there's only 4 of them. This is ruling class solidarity. They're all intertwined. The churn of corruption is America is this giant currency engine. We convert stress into currency. Not capitalism is that. We convert stress into currency. We sustain a culture of division and false scarcity in order to make people feel stress that they can only alleviate by working and consuming. And those are the 2 ways that you can generate currency: via the technology, the magic transmogrification of time into money, value, which we store as money, because you can make a pile of money, and that's how your boss stores your value and then takes it somewhere else and then uses it for something else later on. It's an abstract concept. I do hope someday for a world without money, but in your lifetime and mine and that of your children and your children's children, because they're going to be, well, eventually sauce packets will become the currency, localized currencies for the cannibalistic cults that are going to fill the void after warlordism fills the void after America crumbles into balkanized regional powers based around where fresh water can be found. That's the next 200 years. But the ruling class, the monsters that run the show, the Mitch McConnells, the Dianne Feinsteins, all the billionaires, even those on the left, which is very few, but all the wealthy billionaires, all the bootlicking fucking morons that think that success, that this is a real meritocracy, that it's not just this gigantic rigged scam. All of them, but especially those that are feeding off of the churn. So all of this converts stress into currency, and that currency is a big bubbling pot, and it's bubbling up and it's churning. And there's this money just flying through. And there's a lot of people at the layer below, or just below, a couple layers below the 0.01 percenters. And, those who aspire, who swallow the narrative that it's, the only source of security is accessing giant piles of wealth. Because that's the one way that you can access the benefits of community, is you can pay for it. Instead of a healthy, dynamic, democracy-based, collective group effort, which humans do so well, like what Rob Schneider was referring to when we go save our friends with our boats, or not even our friends, our strangers and neighbors and anybody who needs help. None of that. That is the kind of stuff that is threatening to the boss. It's just that it's permissible during emergencies because the capitalist forces have abandoned those communities as soon as anything became risky. It's bad business to stick around and help people. Anyway, that's a side point. It's back to the Rob Schneider portion of this podcast. So this rat king solidarity is that all these ferociously feeding, although I think rats are actually much more sensitive. I think they get a bad rap, honestly. But they're nasty, ugly animals. We all kind of hate rats. I used to kill them in Chicago. I remember I got one big one. It was, at least in my memory, it was about as fat as this cup. It's a pretty sizable mug here. It was a big boy, man. I would put a trap out. Big fat rat trap. And I remember once me and my roommate at the time, and obviously, anyway, we heard the trap within like 5 minutes of me. We just heard this outdoor. I was like, oh, I got one. I would just throw them out, So, yeah, and there's people probably get upset about the idea of killing rats and stuff, but they get a bad rap anyway. They they're animals. It's not like they're extra horrible. They're just not outdoors during the daytime like squirrels are. And they don't have these, kind of charming, attractive tails that the squirrels have. They have the gross skin tail, like Mitch McConnell has. So the rulers of the world, the churn, they're trying to get as big a bite as they can, but they also kind of recognize that they're dependent. They're interwoven. Hillary Clinton was on the board of Walmart in like the 90s or something like that. And corporate boards are a huge way. So many former military dudes who, you know, their career, they got a 20-year career, they retire at 40 something, and then they end up working in the private side of the military scam. And there's so much money there. And they end up on boards and they end up on this and that. And some people have public profiles where they're, you know, the ones who give interviews and they make appearances, and maybe they take the hits from being judged by people like myself or others and whatnot. But there's also the private kind of side of it as well. But they interweave. They put each other on each other's boards. They put each other on each other's foundations. The corruption flows through these connections. Oh, I'll give your spouse a job. Oh, I'll help your whatever cousin spouse start that charity that he or she's been wanting to start, that they've been wanting to start, or whatever. Or I'll donate to this or that, or I'll fund this or that. So there's this churn that's happening at these top layer, but it's all that money churn that I'm talking about, giving jobs, donating to the causes or whatever, or showing up at those charity events and then writing a big check, donating to the politicians, you know, pulling back from supporting some other cause because that will help your competitive advantage for your buddy, all whatever that is. All of those different ways are how these capitalist fucking freaks tie their tails together. That's how they become this ball of rapacious consuming monsters that can't be reckoned with. And that's the solidarity of the rulers. They all look out for each other. They have incredibly healthy, well, healthy might not be the right word, but it's a strong, it's a vibrant, it's a dynamic, and it's a long lasting one. It's one of those, this is what hierarchy is. This is the backbone of hierarchy and generational wealth. And sustaining that. That's why they get so threatened. That's why they look at, you know, the estate tax, which kicks in at, I don't know the right number, but it kicks in over millions of dollars. Millions, I think it's tens of millions of dollars. We might have to pay some tax above that amount. Because that is part of preventing the knot from being untied. So that's a phrase that I'm trying to introduce is that the ruling class has rat king solidarity. So that's where the word rat king has lived in the file in my brain for a long time. The original German term Rattenkönig was calqued into English as rat king and into French as roi de rat. How do you say rats in French? I took 5.5 years of French. Roi de rats. Rats. It's roi de rats. The term was not originally used in reference to actual rats, but for persons who lived off others. Conrad Gessner, in Historia Animalium, 1551 to 58, obviously the latest info, stated, some would have it that the rat waxes mighty in its old age and is fed by its young. This is called the Rat King. Martin Luther stated, finally, there is the Pope, the King of Rats, right at the top. Okay, so he called the Pope the King of Rats. See? He was talking about the ruling class. He was talking about the guy at the top of that. But they're a collective, is what I'm saying. They have solidarity. They look out for each other, and they interweave via lawyers and accountants and the people who file the paperwork for within these capitalist governments. Later, the term referred to a king sitting on a throne of knotted tails. Excellence. The rat certainly occupies a storied role in so many different elements of lore, especially Europeans, where we've lived in squalor and horrible destitution because it's the most rotten fucking people that ever exist on the planet. If you said, hey Hank, how are you going to kill a planet? You're going to give you less than 1,000 years. Do you think you can destroy a planet? I would say, let's spread European beliefs. Let's, especially from the rulers of those fucking, those rotten ass cultures. There's plenty of beautiful people and beautiful stuff in those cultures, but they're going to make the planet uninhabitable for humans in less than 1,000 years, thanks to the rapacious appetites of the capitalist fervor that's sourced from Europeans. They did it to their own citizens first, and now the Rat King has reached the entropic limit of a planet. We can't just outgas it into the nether regions anymore. There are no more nether regions. Pollution is not that much of a problem if you're only punishing other people. Now it's everybody. It's a closed system. Now we're still receiving inputs I mean, the ultimate closed system is the universe itself, I suppose, but maybe even not. Who knows? But the sun is feeding Earth energy, so we're not. But as far as our pollution regime goes, it's closed. We can't ship it off the Earth the way we could formerly. Just make sure that the poor people are poisoned. Now it's everybody because of CO2 and plastic and all the other stuff. Why am I going on? An alternative theory states that the name in French was roue de rat, or a spinning wheel of rats, the knotted tails being wheel spokes. Boy, that's to be a good Rocket League tire. With the term transforming over time into roi de rat, which is roi, R-O-I, is king. Because formerly French oi was pronounced oui or similar. Nowadays it is pronounced wa. Oui, French oui is O-U-I, but it's O-I here on the screen. Oh man, so many words. I want to read about squirrel kings. Let's just do it though. History of rat kings. The earliest reported rat king comes from 1564. Most extant examples are formed from black rats. Okay. Specimens of purported rat kings are kept in some museums. The Museum Mauritanium in Altenburg, Thuringia, shows the largest known mummified rat king, which was found in 1828 in a miller's fireplace in Buchheim. Ugh! Why is there so many rats in my fireplace? That's my Miller impression. It consists of 32 rats. It's a nice, good number, though. Alcohol-preserved rat kings are shown in museums in Hamburg, Göttingen, Hamelin, Stuttgart, Strasbourg, and Nantes. Or Nance. A rat king found in 1930 in New Zealand, they even got over to New Zealand, displayed in the Otago Museum in Dunedin, was composed of immature black rats whose tails were entangled by horsehair. Oh, man. Yeah, I doubt that it was on purpose, right? Can't be. I imagine they just got all... Yeah. You know how vacuums will just get hair stuck in vacuums? A rat king discovered in 1963 by a farmer at Rookven, Netherlands, is published by cryptozoologist M. Schneider, consists of 7 rats. That's a small one. All of them were killed by the time they were examined. I mean, it must be weird to have them find a living one, wouldn't it? Just a snarling platter of rats. That's fucked up. X-ray images show formations of callus at the fractures of their tails, which suggests that the animals survived for an extended period of time with their tails tangled. So that's amazing. So they would fracture and then grow together. Or, imagine you need one of those vet TV shows, where they find some German shepherd filled with ticks. Take it into some vet. It's like, okay, baby, we're going to make you okay, baby. But doing that with a bunch of rats with their tails all woven together. Sightings of the phenomenon in modern times, especially where the specimens are alive, are very rare. One 2005 sighting comes from an Estonian farmer in Saru of the Voruma region. Many of the rats in the specimen, now part of the collection at the University of Tartu Museum of Zoology in Estonia, were alive. In 2021, a living rat king of 5 mice was caught on video and untangled to save the mice. Aw, see, it's a feel-good story. Near Stavropol, Russia. There's actually a scene in Baby's Day Out where the baby stumbles into the basement of the construction site and it crawls over a snarling pack of rats. Wouldn't that be great? On October 20th, 2021, a live rat king of 13 rats was found in Pulvoma, Estonia. The rat king was brought to Tartu University and humanely euthanized because the rats had no way of freeing themselves. Before that, scientists were able to film the rat king alive. The rat king will be added to the Tartu University Museum of Zoology collection. So we got video. I don't have the video to play, but that's good. That's good. This is what we're going to miss, humans. If we let the fucking capitalists kill the planet so that we can buy stuff, it's fucking stupid. Human consciousness is going to be erased when what we should be is we should have millions more years of finding fucked up animals. Crazy animal shit. We're going to miss out on all of that. Not to mention all the amazing art, science, beauty, and love, and music, and poetry, and sex, and good stuff that humans can do for each other in a world where human flourishing and work. We didn't work to make somebody rich. We worked to make the community stronger. How about that? Put that in your speech, third-party candidates. Squirrel kings. Instances of squirrel kings. Now, this is where your heart breaks because these squirrels are cuties. You know, they're daytime rodents. We get relationships with them. We feed them walnuts and stuff and hot dogs. They were found alive in some cases. Veterinarians have had to separate them as the squirrels could potentially starve or be eaten by a predator. A squirrel king of 6 squirrels. It's so sad. Stuck together with pine sap. Oh, that stuff is bad. There's none. Was found in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada in June 2013. In 2018, 5 juvenile gray squirrels were found in Wisconsin. Oh, hell yeah. U.S. Some surrounding nests, material, grass, and plastic got further entangled with this. See, now we got plastic helping them out. That's what it's all about, baby. We can continue using plastic because it's going to entangle the squirrels. It's going to make it good for a good zoology exhibit. And we're going to ruin it. The knot caused some tissue damage to their tails. Shocker. Oh, there's so much more. Oh, there's so much more to this. I feel so bad for my audience. Possible explanations. Okay, we gotta do it. Rat kings have been. Let me go bigger. Let's go bigger. All right. Oh yes, you know what a rat king is, do ya? It's the tough one who murders all the other rats. Actually, Jordan, it's the fucking literal opposite. They're just too stupid to untie their tails because they don't have thumbs or long legs. Their longest leg is their tail. Do they have? Do rats have prehensile tails? I can't hear my fucking voice. Okay. Rat kings have been reported from Germany, Belgium, Estonia, Java, and New Zealand, with the majority of cases reported from the European countries, where pestilence is common. Was invented. The existence of this phenomenon is debated due to the limited evidence of it occurring naturally, although the discovery of live instances in Estonia in 2021 is considered to be proof that it is a natural, albeit extremely rare, phenomenon. Another concern is the possibility that some of the centuries-old preserved museum specimens could be fabricated. That seems very plausible. Such hoaxes being common in earlier eras. They didn't have internet. They didn't have phones. They had dead animals to play with. 2% of them could read, so they leafed through books, wiping boogers on the outside, and then they made weird carvings out of animals. Sculptures, I meant to say, not carvings. 17th to 18th century naturalists proposed many hypotheses to explain this phenomenon. Most were dubious, ranging from the rats getting stuck together during birth and glued later. Oh, yeah, I guess you mean like during birth or in the womb? What about birth would make them stick? I could see maybe like, they find like a fetus skeleton in your shoulder blade when you're like 70 years old and like, well, you had a twin. Is it like that? To healthy rats deliberately knotting themselves to weaker rats to make a nest. I mean, I guess that's possible. I could see them. I think the human, we like to think of deliberate, intentional stuff. We're very social, and rats have social nature too. The rat park studies are actually really quite interesting in terms of how addiction it was understood and is understood, misunderstood especially, there was a study with rats that were addicted to cocaine water, and they were nuts for the cocaine because they were addicted to this addictive substance. But then some guy was like, well, why don't we try it, but like let's like give them something better than a cage or like a white box, and so let's make it nice. We'll put a bunch of rats, a bunch of places for them to hide, a bunch of rat stuff for them to do, some turtles to train into ninja fighters, and the rats stopped having the addiction issues. The social factor ameliorated their addiction impulses. It's kind of fun, Then they just had the occasional fun drink of water, but they didn't get addicted. Because addiction is about social dysregulation, in my viewpoint. And I'm speaking as someone who has addiction issues. A possible explanation is that the long, flexible tail of the black rat could be exposed to a sticky or frozen substance such as sebum, a secretion from the skin itself, possibly, yeah. Sap, food, or excretory products. Hell yeah. Maybe it's from Jerry Nadler or Mitch McConnell, huh? I'm trying to bounce my eyebrows. Why I can't do it right now? Usually I'm pretty good at bouncing my eyebrows. This mixture acts as a bonding agent and may solidify as rats sleep or especially when the animals live in proximity during winter. After realizing that they were bound, they would struggle tightening the knot. This explanation is plausible given that most cases have been found during winter and in confined spaces. Emma Burns, curator of natural science at the Otago Museum, said regarding her museum's specimen, ship rats, black rats, according to some theories, are climbing rats, so their tails have a grasping reflex. In the nest, they form a hold. Okay, so they do have somewhat prehensile tails, grasping. That's interesting. Some zoologists remain skeptical, saying that while theoretically possible, the rats would not be able to survive in such a condition for a long time. Yeah, I think it'd be like one of those like giant nest things, and there's just enough other rat activity around them that leaves them with some. They have to have enough food to sustain it for a while too, particularly if the temperatures rose or if they bit their own or another's tail to try to free themselves. Since black rats cluster together during winters for warmth, it could be possible for a rat king to be naturally occurring. Any fabrications would most likely have been created using dead rats, given how difficult the process would be if the rats were alive. God damn it, hold still! Fucking rats! Trying to build you into a rat king, you goddamn rat serfs! Fuck! Oh, shit! Got away. Dang, you had a good tail on that one, too. Chewing on, like, weird bark to create, like, sticky goo. Fuck! Alright, here we go again! It's like trying to tie two giant egg rolls together. Any fabrication will most likely have been created using, dead rats isolated. However, experts support the idea of isolated freak accidents due to the existence of occasional well-observed cases involving squirrels. I like how that helps kind of buttress the arguments about the rats, too. It's like, well, they're both rodents, also members of the rodent family, it says right there. That is true. That tracks. Logically, that adds to my probability calculations. A 2007 study published in the Proceedings of the Estonian Academy of Science, Biology, and Ecology, my favorite magazine, following the finding of the University of Tartu specimen, concluded that the phenomenon is possible but rare. Just think in terms of sheer numbers, too. I mean, aren't rats, isn't that the whole thing? They're like rabbits. They like breed really fast and they have huge litters and they grow really fast and they survive anything and they live like shit. They get diabetes. They're like Americans. But they, like it just seems plausible that that's something that would eventually emerge in this way and then be found. There's probably rat kings out there that no one ever noticed. Those are the sad ones. I'm not going to read the rest of this, but there's some culture here. This is actually the interesting stuff. Oh, God damn it. This is so interesting. Oh, maybe we'll do another segment on that if there's enough outcry. So, all right. I'm getting emails there. Cool. So, that's the show, guys. I kind of want to play the I almost called him Kurt Vonnegut. That's fucked up. Jordan Peterson thing one more time, but you can go back and find it in the video on YouTube. That's cool. And I'm going to put it up separately, so maybe I'll put that link in the description if I remember. Yeah, that's it. How was that one? Did we keep it under 2 hours? Barely, maybe. Just about. So yeah. Patreon.com/winners and losers. I am determined to do better. I don't know. I feel like I'd be dishonest if I promised I'll be perfect about consistency. I'm struggling with that, but I do have the time and I have to start managing my stress better. And as I've been over the last week or so, I've fallen off that a decent bit. So yeah, that's kind of the foundation of it. Is not so much that I'm going to do these videos more regularly and get the podcast done on time as I should be. The most important thing is to be consistent and persistent in your output. But I'm trying to start further back the chain there and start with take care of my head, because that's where I end up being unable to get shit done. And eventually I might get enough. I can maybe get some treatment for ADHD. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I have that. I'm less confident about that than the autism, but I'm still like 95%, 90 something. It's up there from what I've read and what I've been reading and learning and seeing. So thank you. That's all I got. I'm good. I am going to go get some new headphones somehow. I do. Just is so annoying. It's so distracting. It's hard enough keeping my thoughts straight without this ear problem here with this head thing. And I'm a fucking professional video editor. I need to have working headphones. So I can justify that. And meanwhile, I hope you're doing well. Don't be tying your tails up with anybody, or at least if you do it for a little while, just get some water after you're done. A little ice water's nice, stretch your legs. Pray for Mitch McConnell. Sacrifice to whichever God you worship, that he survives for another 400 years, along with the bride of chaos, Nancy Pelosi, who's running for re-election at age 83. It's just so fucking gross, man. Yeah. All right. Goodbye. Take care. Have a good one. Bye. See ya. Bye.